Huddle podcast, Chiefs, Lions, and NFL talk. Joined here with my co-host, Xavier Peters.
What's going on, everybody? How you doing? Football
Good,
is
man.
here.
Hey, it's here. It's August. It's hot. But it's going to start cooling down. And football's here.
It is.
The leaves are falling. The air's crisp. It's time to kind of get into it, man. So,
Absolutely.
How you been?
It
Been all
really
right?
is. I've been all right. Been good. Anticipation. Learning more and more about my team. And it's ready to roll.
Ready to rock, man. Yeah, man,
Mhm.
absolutely. So am I. So let's kind of jump into it. You know, for our new listeners and for our new audience, this is our inaugural episode here on Heartland Huddle, Chiefs, Lions, and NFL talk. You can catch us every week, and we'll post on Friday or Saturday. You can catch us weekly. On top of that, you can catch us on your three main platforms. Number one on YouTube, and as you hop on YouTube and search for our channel, you can type in the @ symbol, so it's @ Heartland NFL Talk, and you should be able to pull up our channel and catch all of our content and Chiefs and Lions news. On top of that, you can also catch us audio on Spotify, along with, of course, Apple Podcasts as well, or wherever you guys get your podcasts. So, weekly thing, we're excited. It's a new football season, the 2024-2025 NFL football season. So, welcome, everybody, and I'm happy to do it with you, X.
Happy to do it with you too, bud. Let's get rocking and rolling.
Absolutely. Let's get into it. So, just a couple of things, right? You know, coming into, of course, a new season. I just wanted to recap how last season started before we jump into new. And obviously, I'm a happy man, right? With our third Super Bowl and the last 5 years, of course. Absolutely. Dynasty cemented. Patrick Mahomes did his thing. We had a wonderful Super Bowl run. One of the toughest Super Bowl runs, I think, with having to go through Miami, then Josh Allen in Buffalo, Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, and then, of course, finally Brock Purdy. All on the road, and that Brock Purdy vaunted 49ers team in the Super Bowl. So, you know, the Chiefs rolled out to an 11-6 record, earned the 3 seed in the playoffs. We were able to go, like you said, on the road, get it done, and win the Super Bowl. So very good season for us, and I'm excited for the new. How about the Lions, if you want to just sort of recap that a little bit?
Well, being a Lions fan, knowing where we come from, just always having losing seasons, always dealing with terrible people in the organization. It's all changed now. Brian Holmes, Dan Campbell, they said 3 years. So as far as last season goes, I think we were right where we needed to be. Some people think we were probably a year too early, but I think we were right where we needed to be, just given, Brad Holmes' eye for talent. So winning the division and going to an NFC championship was, I think, for any Lions fan, you could have asked for the Super Bowl, but you couldn't ask for nothing more, just given the history of the Lions. So I was totally satisfied with the Lions making the NFC championship for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, just to kind of recap that a little bit more, like we talked about, it was the first division win since 93.
Yeah.
Fun fact, I was
Yeah.
born in 93, so that tells you it was 30 years. Obviously, the Lions' first NFC championship game appearance since 1991, right? So, you know, for you guys to obviously have that much success, Jared Goff coming over in the massive Matt Stafford trade, and then 3 years later, like you alluded to, being in that NFC championship game. Bit of a heartbreaker in the NFC championship game. We can talk about that just real quick. I know you're over it. It's been an entire spring and summer.
It was. I was actually to a point. I was to a point where I did not want to watch football for a while. Actually didn't watch anything about football for a while. Eventually, I got over it, and like I said previous, you still have to have some type of satisfaction, just given how far they went, just given the history of the Lions, knowing that we've never seen them make it that far. You know what I mean? So seeing them make it that far with Jared Goff leading the way, it was a beautiful thing to me. When you think about it, when it's all said and done, and it gives us hope for at least the next 3 to 5 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you said that. I think going into this 24-25 season, it does. I mean, each year Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes have been in place in Detroit. They improve. 3-13, 9-8. Obviously, what was it? Was it 12-5 last year? I think the
12 and
Lions
5, yes.
12 and
Yep,
5.
12 and 5.
Only their second win, 12-win season in their storied history. So, you got to think that improvement's going to keep coming. And the next exciting step, of course, is the Super Bowl, right? I would love to
Yeah.
meet you guys in the Super Bowl. That way we can show you guys firsthand championship DNA. Side note, obviously the Chiefs and the Lions met week 1 last year. We didn't get the dub. You guys came into our house. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. That was exciting. Obviously we watched that game together. Didn't really know what to expect. And you know me, before every season, I always tell you what I want to see. I want to see, what does the defense do? How good are
Yeah.
we on defense? I've never been concerned about Ben Johnson and his offense. What can the defense do? They held their own in that game, but at the same time, it was a lot of mistakes made on the Chiefs side. You know what I mean? So, but
Yep.
the Lions did come in. They won that game with no Chris Jones, no Travis Kelce, of course. I guess that does play a major factor when those are two of the guys that are the heart and soul of that team. So, and but yeah, we came in, got the win. It was exciting. It gave us, I think it gave Lions fans the big head, just for the season in general. You know what I'm saying? Going to Arrowhead and winning a game in Arrowhead against Patrick Mahomes, which is really, really tough to do. A lot of people don't get to do that. So
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, there was a lot of hype. We dropped the banner and then came in and got beat. Although we didn't have 2 Hall of Famers on the field, and Chris Jones, he was
I
sitting in his
mentioned that.
suite
I threw
in
that in
between.
there. I
Yeah,
threw
no,
that
you're
in
right. You're
there.
right. Of course, with Travis Kelce. So, but no, you're right though, and it just shows you. It just speaks to the culture Dan Campbell has set in Detroit, saying, "Hey, we're not here to sneak up on you. We're here to come into your house, kick your ass, play physical, win, and then we're going right back up north to Detroit." So I'm
Yeah.
excited for them to take that culture in there. So, but I'm glad you said that. So, storylines, and you sort of alluded to the defense for the Lions. Talk about that. What are some changes that they made in the offseason? What are some stuff that they're kind of going through to help out that defense going into this year?
Well, they definitely, secondary was number one. Of course, Jerry Jacobs, Cam Sutton, they got beat a lot last year. And so
Yeah, they did.
I'm so happy that Brad Holmes focused his attention on that in the draft and just through free agency with Carlton Davis, uh, Terrion Arnold, and Ennis Rakestraw. Like that, you couldn't have, I think just those 3 picks along with Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph, I think that automatically makes our secondary light years better. So, and then to pick up with DJ Reader on the defensive line, Marcus Davenport, giving Aiden Hutchinson some help. He was a first round pick. So I think it's time. I think this is probably his first season ever coming into the season 100% healthy, ready to play game 1. So, um, but yeah, just the offseason additions that they added on defense, I think is going to make for a way better defense. And with me, if we could rank top 15, I'll probably be satisfied because normally we're 30 or lower. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
if we can rank top 15, top 10, top 15 to complement our offense, which is ranked top 5, man, the places we can go. But yeah, the offseason additions on defense. Brad Holmes, he has a special eye for talent, and I think Brad Holmes will be there for a long time too because of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you mentioned, that first round draft pick, Terrion Arnold. I think he's a kid out of Alabama. That makes
Mm-hmm.
how many now? What is that? Brian Branch, that's Jameer Gibbs, Jamison Williams,
Gibbs,
and now Terrion Arnold. That's 4
yeah,
selections. That's 4 Alabama products in the last 3 drafts. Hey, and they're boding
4
well. Why
starters
not
too
go
at that. Yeah.
4 starters at that? So why not go get top talent from a top school, winning national titles to play on your team? We see the Eagles do it with all their Georgia players. But no, so you look at him, I think he's a guy who's immediately going to come in, play man coverage. And we talked about it. That was a little bit of their problem last year was, well, gosh, Aiden Hutchinson doesn't have time to get to the quarterback. It's a one-man band. Yeah, but also because your coverage is bad. Aaron
Yeah.
Glenn, the defensive coordinator, he's not being able to bring, creative blitzing and different looks to help out Hutch in that D-line because
Yeah.
your corners can't
Yeah.
hold up on the back end. So as you have mentioned, the
Yeah.
other big addition was that Carlton Davis trade from the Bucks, and I think he's going to be a fantastic man coverage corner. Can play good zone too all around, but I think having him and Arnold on the outside that can just jam press and let Hutch and some of those safeties go to work, especially your boy Brian
Yeah.
Branch, I think is going to bode well, of course, for Detroit.
And not
So
to cut you off, I forgot about my
sure,
boy too, Amik Robinson out of Las Vegas. Good, solid nickel corner. Very, very smart, high football IQ.
yeah.
Yeah. So I think our secondary should be completely revamped, and I'm hoping that we can see it immediately. You know what I mean? Game one. So that's what I'm hoping for. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wanted to turn real quick to the offensive side of the ball. As you had mentioned, we're never really worried about the Lions' offensive side of the ball right now. But speak to a couple of big additions, or should I say retention, and talk about your three cornerstones: Penei Sewell, Jared Goff, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Those guys.
Yeah, the three cornerstones, and what makes them the three cornerstones? They were there from the beginning. Panay Sewell was the first pick that Brad Holmes picked in his first draft here in Detroit.
Yeah,
And same was in that same draft. Jared Goff coming over had to endure a rebuild because Patricia and Bob Quinn got rid of every freaking starter we
yeah.
had when they were here. So Jared Goff coming over trying to had to endure a rebuild. I give Jared Goff praises for that because he swallowed his pride, he kept a smile on his face, and he just went to work. And Amon-Ra St. Brown made him his guy. Penei Sewell made him his guy. Like,
We'll talk about
they
their
are the core
contracts.
foundation. Yeah, contracts.
Yeah,
Everybody's paid.
yeah. I was
I mean,
about to
but they
say you want to.
deserve it though, and that just goes to
Oh,
the
absolutely.
point of you saying them being the core of the team. They had to get paid. 200 million for golf, 100+ million for Penei Sewell, 100+ million for Amon-Ra St. Brown. You got to pay those guys. They've been here from the beginning. They went from 3 games to 12 games in the NFC Championship. Like, you have to pay them guys. They are the heart and soul of this team. So,
And if
um,
I remember
yeah,
correctly, what makes it really special, especially for Amon-Ra and Jared Goff, is that I think that first year, 3 years ago, Dan Campbell's first year with the Lions, that first win they lost a couple in heartbreaking fashion. That's the year they went 13-3. But that first win, was it against Atlanta or maybe the Cardinals? I can't remember.
it
But
was against the Cardinals.
it was against the Cardinals, and
No, was it against the Cardinals? I think no, it was against
it was
Minnesota.
it was against
It
Minnesota.
was
There
against
you go.
Minnesota. Yeah,
Minnesota, and it was a last-second pass, and Amon-Ra caught it from Jared Goff. And that was sort of, Dan Campbell was crying, it was his first win, and all of these different things, and I just think that speaks right there, that relationship.
yeah,
Jared
yeah.
Goff,
That
I
was
mean,
the
that's
beginning.
very fitting that was the
Yeah,
connection there.
yeah. That was the beginning of the new era for the Lions. That right there was the beginning of the new era for the Lions. And I remember hearing a story uh, at the end of that season, Jared Goff texting Ben Johnson saying, "We're gonna make same star. Like, he's
Yeah,
gonna be the number one for this team." 2 years later, here we are. He's top 10 in the league right now. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I
absolutely,
mean, it
absolutely.
just,
He's
I don't
he's
know.
he's
Words can't
guaranteed.
explain.
Yeah, he's guaranteed. I don't know, 110 catches, 1,400 yards, and probably about 8 touchdowns. that's wide
Yeah,
receiver, all pro, wide receiver one, elite production. So yeah, hell of a steal
exactly. Yeah.
there by the Lions and Dan Campbell. So turning over to the Chiefs a little bit, the big
Hmm.
thing, let's just elephant in the room, the wide receiver core. I mean, that's really what we can speak to when it comes to the problems with the Chiefs last year and what we were looking to prove. So, of course, our big free agent addition was Hollywood Brown. He's going to miss the first week, of course, with that shoulder injury that he suffered in the first preseason game. But Hollywood Brown, we know his speed, 4.33. And then, of course, we went and picked up that dangerous lightning fast man, Xavier Worthy out of
Xavier
Texas in the
Worthy.
first round, the
Yes, sir.
4.21. So I think with those two additions to the wide receiver core, you got Rashee Rice, who obviously pending some legal trouble. I don't think he's going to get suspended this year. I think they've got to
Yeah.
wait for that litigation process, and I think he's
Let
going
me
to
ask
be
you a
good this year.
question.
Sure.
Let me ask you a question. With those three receivers,
Yeah.
who's the number one? Who would be the number one?
Rashi Rice.
Rush. Is that because he's been there, or
Because he's been there.
is
Because
it
he's been there. Yes,
okay?
and the reason why I say that is yes, exactly that. That he's been there. He was really outside of Kelsey, our only target this past year. He was running those flood and drag routes across the middle, his run and catch
Yeah,
ability, all of those things. Now,
yeah.
however, I do think Hollywood Brown, when he gets back healthy, I do think Hollywood Brown becomes our number one, of course. But I think right now a stabilizing, because if we really want to be honest, Kelsey's our number one, right? But speaking specifically of
Yeah,
wide receivers, right? But
right. Yeah, yeah.
so now you go Hollywood Brown, 4.33. Xavier Worthy, 4.21. Rashi Rice isn't necessarily slow, right? And then of course we still brought back McCole Hardman, who's a 4.29 type of 4.31 type of guy. So elite speed. I
Absolutely.
think you're going to see a lot of 3x1 sets. Rice, Hardman, and Worthy on one side with Kelsey split out to the other. I don't know as a defense what
Hmm.
you do there. But those were the big pickups. And then now you've got, I mean, hell, think about it, Xavier. You've got four guys that have to go with two, right? Hollywood's going to take a safety in a corner. Xavier Worthy's
Hmm.
going to take a safety in a corner on the other side. And then you just have
Hmm.
underneath linebackers to cover Pacheco out of the backfield, Kelsey and Rice. What do you do?
Yeah,
What do you do? So we've seen it.
makes it easy for him. Yeah,
Yeah, we've seen it, all offseason. The big emphasis this year is taking shots down the field. The Chiefs want to even though we won, Patrick said it, we weren't happy with the way it looked and how we won. We want to get back to
and
that
for a while,
explosiveness.
it took
Mm-hmm.
me a minute to understand what he was saying. And
Sure.
then when you look up at the overall scope of their season, I kind of got it. They struggled in a lot of games. A lot of those wins in the season were struggle wins. They was like just barely crossing. So I get what he's saying. He said
Yeah.
they really didn't play to their capability, and makes sense too. They had to go on the road in the playoffs. That let you know
Yeah.
that they didn't play to their capability. Any other time, playoff games was always at home. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And then turning to the other side of the ball, just really quick, because I do want to get into this new season. We're excited for it. I want to get there, but just
absolutely.
turning into the other side of the ball, obviously, we subtracted and traded L'Jarius Sneed. The Titans signed him to a big cornerback deal there in Tennessee. And so you lose L'Jarius Sneed, but with the depth we've drafted, I believe it's 5 to 6 corners over the last 3 drafts. So Brett Veach has filled that spot with depth, potential, talent. All those guys are 6'2", 6'3". They all can run. So yeah, L'Jarius Sneed is a big loss. However, you retain Chris Jones. You add a little bit to the D line. You lose Willie Gay, but Leo Chenal, I think he is going to be an absolute stud and star out of Wisconsin, second-year guy. But then you've got Jalen Watson, Joshua Williams to fill out. We know who Trent McDuffie is. First-team All-Pro, absolutely stud
Yeah,
this past year.
a
So we're
dog.
excited for him. And then on the back end, you've got Brian Cook comes back healthy. Justin Reed, a little banged up right now, but he'll be good for week 1. And then you got Shamari Connor as well. So in terms of secondary, in terms of defense, you lose L'Jarius. I'm not worried about it. I think our floor we're actually a bit more dynamic there. So, okay,
I agree with
let's,
you. I agree.
yeah, absolutely. Let's turn it over then. Let's look to this 2024-25 NFL football season here. Once again, just to
Yes,
remind you
sir.
guys, this being our inaugural episode, you can catch us on our YouTube channel at Heartland NFL Talk. You can catch us on Spotify, and you can catch us on Apple Podcasts as well. Make sure you guys are liking and subscribing to our podcast. It helps us, number one, we appreciate it. But then two, it also helps us to understand, what you guys want to hear, the different content. You guys can post questions, things you want to ask, things you guys want us to discuss, and that'll really help us engage with you. So, okay, Xavier, let's get into it. I want bold predictions. We'll start with the overall season outlook, what you think's coming up this year, how the Lions and Chiefs are going to do, and then we'll jump into sort of a schedule game-by-game basis. So give me your Lions. How do they finish in the division? Also the Chiefs, right? Do both teams, do Lions and the Chiefs, do playoffs, and do end result. How far do they make it?
Okay. Well, I'm gonna start with the Lions. With the Lions, I would say probably another 12-5 season. Definitely gonna win the NFC North, I believe. Jordan Love is great. Caleb Williams has the potential to be great. We don't know what he is yet. And JJ McCarthy, I think he would have been great, but they got to roll with Sam Darnold. So I think we definitely win that division again, just given that the additions that we made on defense. I think that'll help us. So I see us another 12-5 season. Playoffs, I say we make it back to an NFC championship game. Will we win this time? I don't know. I can't even push it that far, but I'll say win a division, the NFC North, and uh, definitely another NFC championship game. And
Okay.
as for the Chiefs,
Anything less than a Super Bowl
forget it.
three-peat? Anything less than
Yeah,
a
forget
three-peat's the
it.
wrong
Super
answer.
Bowl in the
There, thank
AFC,
you. Thank you.
straight to the Super Bowl. No, but I give them 13 wins, 13-4. I don't think they'll have to go on the road again this season. I think they'll get to be at home.
Yeah,
All playoff games will be in Arrowhead. I think this season. I think they're going to be really focused and locked in on making sure that they don't have to go on the road in
sure.
playoff time. So, yeah, I'll give them that, and probably one-way ticket to the Super Bowl again, man. Yeah.
Okay. So let's go. Let's go here. Let's go game by game. You said something interesting. You said 12-5 for Detroit. So let's kind of go down the
Hmm.
schedule. We'll start with that Week 1 matchup here. Big time. It's a repeat of the wild card game last year in Ford Field in Detroit there against the visiting Los Angeles Rams. Your guys' former Golden Boy and Matthew Stafford. Right. So we've got Sunday Night Football coming up. It's going to be electric. I know you and I are going to get together for it, of course, and have some good food and drinks over it. But let's start there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Sunday night, Week 1. Stafford makes his second start back at Ford Field for the opposing team in a rematch here. Who you got? Who do you like Week 1?
Week 1, I like Detroit. First home game, electric, sold out. I think this time they should clap for Matthew Stafford instead of
Okay.
booing Matthew Stafford. I think
Yeah.
only because you've had your time with booing him last year in the playoffs, and we
And it was
beat him.
in
So I
good
think this
jest. It was in good
it
jest
it
when
was
they
it,
did it.
it
It
was
was
it
tasteful.
was
If you can have a
yeah.
tasteful boo. But yeah. I'm
Right,
with
it
you.
was, and I think you should cheer for him too because you already beat him in the playoffs. You beat him when it
Sure.
really, really mattered. You know what I mean? So go ahead, give him his round of applause, give him his
Sure.
flowers because don't get me wrong, every Lions fan loves Matthew Stafford. They do.
Oh yeah,
But yeah, at
absolutely.
home,
That's
electric. We're hanging out NFC North Division banner. Yeah, I'm
gonna
taking
be
Detroit.
absolutely. Stars are gonna be at perfect. Okay, so so Detroit starting out 1-0 there. Next game, Week 2, Detroit. It's another home game. Tampa Bay Bucks. Who you got?
Um, I'm gonna go Detroit again, only because Baker Mayfield figures out a way to let that team down. He just does. I hate to say that about him, but he does. It's like he
I
always
mean,
makes 1 to 2 major mistakes that can cost him the game. Like
he led
last
them to the
season in
play.
the
I mean, he
playoffs,
led them to the. I mean, he led a
he led
big
them to
game
the
over the
playoffs.
Eagles. I mean, he beat the Eagles in the
He
wild
did,
card.
but yeah, but Detroit Lions are not the Eagles. That's the difference. You see what I mean?
Well, yeah,
So
the Eagles might be better. Ugh, I know that stings a
yeah,
little bit. Just
I'm gonna
messing
take
with you there.
Detroit though. I'm gonna take home second win.
Okay, first road game of the season. Detroit travels to Arizona, plays Kyler Murray, their new Ferrari, and Marvin Harrison Jr., who you got? Detroit, Arizona.
I'm gonna take Detroit on the road.
Okay, 3
First
0
game
on the 3-0 on the
on
road.
the road.
I still like their. I mean, Detroit's high-powered offense. Arizona's defense isn't going to be
Yeah,
good again. You come back home. It's a
yeah,
Monday night, big time kryptonite type of game. Maybe a sleeper game. You got Seattle on a big Monday night at the end of September here. Who
yeah.
do you like, Seahawks or Detroit at home?
I'm gonna roll with Seattle.
First
They played
loss on
them
that
last
Monday
two
night.
years. Yeah, they have our number. You know, 2-0 with us the last 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Seattle that game. Yeah.
Okay. Big time. Monday night, it's back in your guys' house, but hey, yeah, Seattle's been a kryptonite. Then you got the week 5 bye. I don't know if that's great. I mean, in a 17-game
Let's see.
schedule, you prefer to
Let's
have
see.
that maybe around 8 or 9, but we'll take it. Week
Yeah.
5 bye. Then
Yeah.
you travel. You got a pair of road games here coming out of the bye, so you've got some extra time to prepare. Big one down here in the Big D, where you and I, of course, reside at Dallas, coming off of the bye week.
Yes.
Who you like?
I'm gonna give us the win on that one too,
Oh wow.
because it's gonna be like a revenge game, not necessarily towards Dallas, but for the refs. We're
Sure.
gonna make it to where they can't. I'm not gonna say cheat us, but put us in a position to where they try to take something away from us because
So you're saying
that's
Dallas?
basically what they
You
did.
picked Dallas. You picked Dallas.
No, I'm picking the Lions.
You got Detroit. Excuse me. Okay. You got
Yeah, I
it.
think our
Okay.
battle is going to be with the referees because remember they took something. They took our 2 point conversion away from us last year for the win last year.
Absolutely.
Remember that? Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I
Yep.
think,
Yep.
and
After we
and when you look at the
reported, yeah,
matchup,
yeah,
yeah, and I don't think Dallas did enough to really
not at
enhance their
all.
offense or
That's a
their
whole nother
defense.
discussion.
So
Yeah, not at all.
yeah, it's a whole nother discussion. So yeah, I give Lions the win.
Okay, perfect. And then you travel again to Minnesota, first divisional game of the year. We know Minnesota,
Yeah.
of course. JJ McCarthy got hurt in the preseason, tore an ACL or an Achilles, whatever he did. So he's out, their prize #1 pick. But you still got the veteran, Sam Darnold, who has weapons.
Yeah.
TJ Hawkinson, Justin Jefferson just got handled that massive deal. So you travel to Minnesota for the first divisional game. Who you got?
I'm gonna give it to Detroit, man. Yeah, I
Okay.
got to give it to Detroit on that
2
one.
road
Yeah,
wins back
I'm
to
gonna give
back.
it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
give it to Detroit. Yeah,
Then you
yeah,
come home at the end of October. You come home and you've got a new look Tennessee team. Tennessee looking pretty interesting. I'm a believer in Will Levis. I think with the new offensive who was Cincinnati's offensive coordinator, Callahan, who's now Tennessee's head coach. They went and got Calvin Ridley for him. They went and got Tyler Boyd for him from Cincinnati, and of course they still have DeAndre Hopkins there. They drafted a new left tackle for the young second-year signal caller. I like Tennessee. I think their defense is going to be formidable. So you're back home in
I like
Detroit against Tennessee. Who you got?
I like Tennessee too, but I think Will Levis he still has some more growing pains. You know what I mean? I don't think he's there yet. I get you have
Sure,
all the weapons, but you yourself as a quarterback, you still have to be great too. And he
yeah,
hasn't showed us that greatness yet. You know what I mean? And
sure.
just for that reason, I'll take the Lions. Yeah.
Okay. Then you go on the road to Green Bay, second division game there against Green Bay, but it's in Lambeau in early November. Who you like?
I'm gonna take Green Bay. Yep.
Okay, going to
That'll
take
be
Green
second
Bay. So
loss.
second loss. Okay, just it's at their house at Lambeau. I think they might want a little bit of revenge. Jordan Love's going to look good. I think that they're
Yeah,
going to give
I
you
think so
guys
too.
a little bit of a run for your money on the division. I think Detroit wins. Just a preview of my preview, I guess,
Yeah,
predictions. But
yeah.
yeah, going to be interesting. Okay, then you go to Houston, which do I even need to name the guys they have and what they did last year on the road at Houston? Who you like?
I'm gonna take Houston. Yeah,
Okay,
I'm gonna take
back to
Houston.
back
Back to
losses
back
for the
road
Lions
losses
here.
at that.
Back to back road
Yep.
losses. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So after 9 weeks, you've got the Lions sitting at 6-3 here, right? Mind you, you
Hmm.
took them 12-5. So let's just do these real quick here. Jacksonville,
I'm gonna take the Lions.
dub for the Lions. Indianapolis at Indy.
I'm gonna take Indianapolis. I think
Oh
that'll be
wow.
that sleeper loss. I think
Okay.
everybody will probably want to roll with Detroit, but I think Indy can pull off an upset for sure.
Okay. You've only got one more loss here. You got Chicago.
That's a win.
Oof.
I take the
Okay.
Lions.
Okay. You got Green Bay again.
I'll take the Lions. That's a home game. I'll take the Lions.
Yes, that is a home game. You've got Buffalo and then Chicago again.
I'm gonna take the Lions against Buffalo and give us our last loss against Chicago.
Oh wow! So you've got Caleb Williams, the new
Yeah,
look rookie there, getting a dub since it's in Chicago. So that's your last loss.
yeah.
That makes 5 losses. So then I'm assuming, of course, in that Monday night game, San Francisco win, and then to finish out the year, Minnesota win.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay,
That's
perfect.
what I
So
got.
there it is, 12-5, 4X on the Lions. I like that. I might disagree with a little bit of some of the losses, but I do. I see Detroit as a 12-5 team now that they've got the experience, they've got the playoff experience, all of that good stuff. Turning it over to the Chiefs,
I
obviously.
got you here. First game, week 1. Ravens coming to town. What you think? Lamar Jackson.
I like the win. I like the win there against Lamar. I know everybody's going to dub it as a revenge game. It was a low-scoring affair in the AFC Championship game. We won it 17-10. Lamar and that offensive coordinator kind of got away from running the football. All of those different things, but I love the Chiefs in this. I think Baltimore replaces 3 starting offensive linemen. Anytime you do that, doesn't really work out for you. Derrick Henry, he's 31 years old. The numbers speak for themselves on deteriorating running backs after 30. Zay
Right.
Flowers is good, great young receiver, but we've got Trent McDuffie for that, and then Bateman behind him doesn't really scare me as well. So I like the Chiefs week 1. It's a banner night. We're hanging another one. We're 1-0. Let's
Absolutely.
go.
1-0. All right. Next Sunday, the Bengals come to town to Arrowhead. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase.
Sure. Now, see,
What
I
do you
think
think?
Cincinnati's actually our biggest challenger to getting back to the third
Yeah.
Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
I'm
They
not
are
worried
good.
about
They are
Baltimore in the
good.
slightest, but yeah, I think Cincinnati and the Texans are a real challenge. But I still like us. It's back home. It's back in Arrowhead. I think the Chiefs kind of knock off some rust that first week, and then of course like to get going against Cincinnati.
Okay. So you 2-0 at home.
Yes, sir.
So we go on the road to Atlanta. Kirk Cousins,
Yeah,
first year in Atlanta.
new look Atlanta team. Kirk Cousins, Michael Penix backing them up. Bijan, Kyle Pitts, Drake London. They added Simmons in free agency, stud safety from the Broncos. They added, was it Judon? Who did they add their D in?
Judon.
Was it Judon
Matthew
from the
Judon from the
Patriots? I like
Patriots.
it.
Yep.
Still love the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs' experience. I think what we do on offense. By this time, we're starting to hit on all cylinders. Third game on the offensive side. I like the Chiefs.
Okay. So you go from one coast to the next.
Okay.
Divisional game. The Los Angeles Chargers on the road
We
in
will.
LA.
We can skip through all of the divisional. We'll go 6-0 in the AFC West division. So Chargers win.
Okay.
Broncos,
All right.
2
So that's a
Broncos wins,
win.
2 Chargers wins, 2 Raiders win. Those are done.
Okay. So Saints at the Chiefs.
Saints win.
All right. Y'all
I
come
think
back home after that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even think Derek Carr makes it out. Yeah, win.
Okay.
Let me make
Super
it easy
Bowl
for
rematch.
you, X. Yeah, let me make it easy for you, X, and our
Do your
listeners.
thing.
That's right. My bold prediction: back-to-back Super Bowl champions. Bold prediction here, audience: Chiefs 17-0 on our way to the three-peat Super Bowl. It's never been done. Why not have an undefeated season as well? Obviously, the 07 Patriots, they couldn't get it done against Strahan and the famed Giants defense. I think if you're going for the three-peat, you might as well, of course, go for the undefeated season. With this offense, with this defense, I think it's more. Other bold prediction, side note here, bonus prediction X, is that I think Patrick Mahomes throws for 5,500 yards, and I think he throws for 58 touchdown passes this year, especially with the added 17 game. Absolutely. Undefeated, three-peat, line it up, number 1 seed. Everything runs through Arrowhead. Arrowhead!
I'm not giving them 17-0. I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, well.
This is where your losses are going to come in at.
Okay.
The Chargers are going to beat you at least once.
No.
I think that. They have Jim Harbaugh, hell of a coach. He knows what to do. He just does. The Browns. I'm going to give you the loss against the Browns. Number 1 defense in the league, Deshaun Watson, revenge year. And one other loss I'm going to give you is going to be a sneaky loss. But I think he on the road in Pittsburgh, the second to the last game.
Stop. By that time,
So
stop.
I'll give you those 3 losses. I'll give you those 3 losses. Because looking at the
Absolutely.
schedule, I can give you those 3 losses. Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to
No, I
give
take
us
that back. I take that back. I take that back. I apologize. I take that back. Not on the road with the Steelers. The Texans is the loss that I would give you guys also.
that
Yeah.
Texans game is in Arrowhead. I'm not worried about it one bit. I shouldn't say I'm not worried
So
about it, but since
you have
it's
to
in
be.
our house,
That's
I'm not. I'm not. We'll
that's
see how
one of
they
the
look at that
best,
time.
but it's one of the best up and coming AFC teams
Absolutely, X. But guess who's the
on both sides of the ball at that.
all things? That's fine. All things. I quietly think. By the way, speaking of both sides, Texans. We understand they're great offense. They add Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, Tank Dell, C.J. Stroud, the whole nine. I get it. Laramie Tunsil, left tackle. However, defensively last year they had some good coverage guy. Cannot stop the run. Cannot stop the run, and they didn't do a whole lot to address it this offseason. So I think we'll be able to pound the rock with Pacheco. It's in our house. I think C.J. Stroud has to beat Pat. I think here's the thing, X. Here's why I give the bold prediction of an undefeated three-peat. Because I think the Chiefs.
See that. Go ahead.
I think the
Go
Chiefs
ahead.
have entered into this territory, X, that they are undoubtable. For example, let's say the Chiefs started out 1-7. I still would not give one shit. Why? Because we won with the crew last year, not having a wide receiver, Patrick Mahomes having to figure it out on the fly, dink and dunk, our defense being elite. And I think this year, I just don't. Barring a lot of struggle games, barring catastrophic injury, I just don't see a team that's going to thoroughly challenge us. Now, the Chiefs usually do have a couple of bad losses. Last year, obviously, the Christmas blowout to the Raiders. You had that snowy game in Denver. It was the first time beating us in 8 years. All of that, yada, yada, yada. But looking at our schedule, now what could worry me? Yeah, a little bit Houston. And then, of course, you know, you always got to look at San Francisco, right? That game's in San Francisco, right? And then outside of that, that Cincinnati game. At worst, we're looking at 14-3, which who in
So
the
you're not
AFC?
worried about the number one defense at all in Cleveland?
No, I'm not, because I don't think Deshaun Watson is worth the shit anymore at quarterback. So I don't. I don't.
No.
I don't think we ever see Deshaun Watson. No, we don't. We never see Deshaun Watson get back to 2019 MVP candidate Deshaun Watson. I think he's done.
I think he's gonna be better. No, I
No,
don't think
he's
he's
not.
done.
No,
He's
he's not.
still young. He's not.
He had
He's
last year
only
to do
what,
it.
28, 29?
He hasn't shown us. He
He
hasn't shown
got
us he can be.
hurt. He got
He
hurt.
X. He hasn't.
He
Even
had
when
a,
he
he
did
had
it,
to have surgery and everything.
even when he wasn't, he hasn't shown us he can be a good, prolific quarterback in 4 years. We have not seen it. We have not seen good quarterback play
Off the
from the
field
guy.
issues and injuries, but I don't think so.
Yeah, no.
I think Cincinnati,
They got
Cleveland will
better.
be.
Think
I know
about
they
this.
got better, but listen,
Think about
listen,
this.
listen, listen,
Cleveland
listen, listen.
got better after Deshaun got hurt. Joe Flacco actually played better. They went 5-1 without Deshaun. They got better without
It's
him. What do you mean?
it's all right. Okay. I mean,
Not worried about
I don't know.
Cleveland
I just
at
don't
all.
see it. I don't see it. I think people should be worried about Cleveland. I want to see Deshaun Watson do good. I think he. I think Cleveland is going to be a problem. I think he's locked in. I think he's had more than enough time to get all of the bull crap off his heart. Get back to the field. Get back to what you know. You know what I mean? Don't let people
Yeah.
talk about you like a dog in the street. Get back to what you do. Not saying. I mean, I don't know. I just think that could be a game that the Chiefs could possibly lose. 17-0, a
You
perfect
damn right.
season.
You damn
Ooh,
right.
I mean, if anybody could do it, I guess it would be Patrick
20-0.
Mahomes.
20-0. 17 regular season, division and AFC championship 19, and then that Super Bowl 20.
If they do
20-0,
that, then you might
three-peat.
as well just
Greatest. Go, 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 go,
the
go. Never will be done again. All of that good stuff.
the, N-
Absolutely.
the
It's OV.
NFL shouldn't even exist anymore if you do that. If you do that, then like, what do we need the NFL anymore?
And my Super
Like,
Bowl pick, not
everything's
because I'm a
accomplished.
Yeah, my Super Bowl pick, of course, on the other side, the NFC side, I do. Objectively, I do have Detroit. I like your prediction. I like Detroit at 12-5. I like
Yeah,
Detroit to win the NFC North for the second
yeah,
consecutive year. And I like Detroit. Hopefully that 12-5 gets them that 1 seed. However, I like
yeah,
Detroit. I think with the devastating loss last year, but the experience gain, I like Detroit to come out of the NFC. Philly's much improved,
yeah,
but we have to see it. Obviously, we know
yeah.
what the 49ers are, but I just don't think the 49ers were very blessed health-wise last year. And the 4 years
Yeah.
before that, they weren't.
And that's really
right?
been their arch nemesis is not
Exactly. So I've got to
quarterback
see.
healthy all the way through.
Yeah, or Nick Bosa or Christian McCaffrey, so I've got to see health out of them. And then of course Packers, I think could give you guys a run for your money, but I still like Detroit there. And then on top of that, of course, I like who was the other? I do actually like the Rams out of that NFC West as well. So I see them as 12-5. I do like Detroit though, getting into the Super Bowl. Obviously, it wouldn't be really a match there. And that's not just because our podcast is called Heartland Huddle, Chiefs, Lions, and NFL Talk. Objectively, I do
think
like
it'll
the
be a
Lions out of the
match.
NFC.
We've already beat you guys before. We beat you once, we could beat you again.
We've
Even if it
reviewed
is a
this.
Super Bowl.
We reviewed this. We didn't have 2 Hall of Famers on the field. So,
Hey,
anyway.
ain't no telling who you're going to have in this Super Bowl. Everybody won't be healthy.
Okay. Well, anywho. Okay,
They won't.
real quick, lastly here, just because I want to keep score, of course, I wanted to kind of go by division. So clearly we both think the AFC West will be won by the Chiefs. We both think the NFC North will be won by, of course, the Lions. But I wanted to go here. Let's start with that AFC East. You got Buffalo, Dolphins, and Patriots and Jets. And actually, before we do that, let me introduce this segment, by the way, on our podcast. It is called End Zone Insights, brought to you by absolutely nobody. We will take anybody. We would love that. Let us know. Hit us up. Contact me. We're good. But our End Zone Insights audience members, for those of you who don't know, it's where we just kind of go around the NFL and we make some predictions. We talk about different things than just the Chiefs and the Lions, because this is an NFL podcast as well. So we'll go do some End Zone Insights and kind of see. Today, for our End Zone Insights, let's go to the division, of course. So let's start there. AFC East, you got the Bills, the Dolphins. Of course, you got the Jets, and you got the Patriots. Who do you like coming out of the East?
Jets. If Aaron Rodgers can get past this first game, it'll be the Jets. I know we're paranoid about it. We got to be paranoid about it.
He's in that same boat as Deshaun Watson for me. He hasn't shown he can be a good quarterback since his 2019 MVP season. I don't know how you're picking the Jets. I personally like
If
Miami.
he is, I'm taking Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, but go ahead.
Okay, well, you've been drinking today. So,
Miami?
Okay. Yeah, I'm taking the Dolphins. I'm taking the Dolphins here. That way, of course,
All right.
I
Out of the
think with what
AFC
they've done
North.
in the offseason. AFC North. I like Cincinnati out of the AFC. Like I said, I think they're the Chiefs' biggest competition. So I like the Bengals out of the North.
I'm gonna go with the Browns out of the AFC North.
You have
I'm
so
still
much
a believer
faith in
Deshaun
Cleveland.
Watson.
Why? Why do you have faith in
They
Cleveland?
have the number one defense, and if
Good night.
because
And
I
who do they
believe
have to throw
Deshaun
to
Watson has
outside
got
of? Who do they have to throw to outside
Cooper,
of Amari Cooper?
Njoku,
Okay.
and
Nick Chubb still has to come back. They've got Jeremy Ford, that backup running back, but good night. The Browns, okay.
I mean,
So
my faith is in Deshaun Watson
I don't know.
and the number one defense. Because
okay.
So
turning it over to the
AFC South.
AFC South, I'm all in on the Texans.
Okay. I'm with you on that. I'll take the Texans too.
Texans, pretty simple there. Although I do think Trevor Lawrence turns a corner this year, and I think Jacksonville has a good season. However, I'm still riding with the Texans there. AFC West, I think we both have the Chiefs there. NFC side, NFC East. My second favorite team, by the way, NFC team, Dallas Cowboys. I live down here in Dallas now. I don't mind them. Hey, I'll take the heat. I'll take the Dallas hate. It's fine. I love Dak.
Yeah, you should take a lot of hate for that.
We got the Cowboys, the Giants, the Eagles, and Commanders. Who do you like?
I think I'm gonna go Eagles.
Wow,
I think Philly. I think Philly get back to where they were. I know they had coach quarterback issues or whatever, but I think they get back to where they were. Yeah, because Nick Sirianni, he loves him some Jalen Hurts. He does, and I just think they get back to where they were. Giants, no go. Washington, rookie quarterback. Gonna take some time.
What they're doing. Yeah, I like what they're doing, but
I like what they're doing.
Absolutely. I think Jaden Daniels is going to be set. I think he's he might be my dark horse offensive rookie of the year player this year. I think even over Caleb Williams. But anywho, I like the Eagles too. I hate to agree with you. This is a debate style podcast. I hate to agree with you, but I like the Eagles too. Even after their late season collapse, they went 1-5 in their last 6. last year and then got blown
Yeah.
out, doors blown off by the Buccaneers in that wild card game. Sneakily,
Mayfield, yeah.
there hasn't been a repeat NFC East divisional winner since 03. So that's my other
Yeah.
pause there too. The North, I think we both have the Lions. NFC South,
Lions.
new look Falcons, Panthers, Saints, Bucks. Who you got?
I'm going Falcons, man. Kirk Cousins, he has offense. He got some weapons. Defense is 50-50, but I think that division is just I think Atlanta is the best team out of that division. So
Absolutely. Okay, I like Atlanta too. I just like the experience of Kirk Cousins. I like their young weapons that they have. I mean, I just think with the new offensive coordinator, I think they're going to get it rolling and use Bijan Robinson this year. I like Atlanta in the South. And then last but not least, the NFC West, the Cardinals, Rams, San Francisco, and Seahawks. Who do you like?
the cliche answer is the 49ers, but
Hey, we got a butt.
man, it's hard.
We got a butt.
It's hard for me to give any one of them to win because the Lions play that entire division. But if I had to give it to somebody, I guess I'll give it to the 49ers to win that division again.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay,
for
the
the
49ers.
year in a row. Yeah.
49ers.
I mean, they're stacked. They got the team, and they have to win before this team is decimated, which is coming soon. So
With the contracts and the
to
money.
49ers.
Yeah, with the money they borrow from future years. I'm going to go against the grain. I like the Los Angeles Rams. I have the Rams losing week 1, Sunday Night Football to Detroit. Don't get your panties in a pinch there, Xavier. However,
perfect pick.
Going, though, young dynamic defense, 22 new first or second year starters for the Rams last year, and they still go to a wild card game against the Lions. I like Sean McVay. Stafford stays healthy. We know Stafford's a top quarterback in the NFL. I love Stafford there. I love what Kyron Williams. You drafted the rookie Blake Corum out of Michigan, just won a national title, stud running back. Right? I like what the Rams have going on with their young dynamic defense, and I can't count out Sean McVay. So I think with good health, I like the Rams. I do. I think that the 49ers could get beat in a couple of those games. I think the 49ers could get beat. I think, didn't they lose to the Cardinals last year in a surprise game? Things like that. So I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to choose the Rams. I'm going to choose the Rams to go ahead and win that NFC West. So we'll be looking good there. And just to kind of wrap things up, our last but not least segment, Xavier and our audience, Would You Rather? Once again, brought to you by absolutely nobody. Once again, we'll take anybody. Would you rather? It's a fun game we like to play to where we ask, sort of a scenario type question audience of, would you rather have this or rather have that? So X, my would you rather here to finish us up. Would you rather the Detroit Lions have 2 1,000-yard wide receivers or 1 1,500-yard rusher?
1,500. I'm going to say 1,500-yard rusher. And I say that because that can ultimately win you games. Because when you're up in the game, you have a run game to rely on. And Detroit, which is my team, they have a run game to rely on. And not only that, this season they will have 4 solid running backs to rely on. David Montgomery, Jameer Gibbs, Craig Reynolds, and the rookie, Sione.
Where did he play, Troy or Rutgers? Where was Vaki? Didn't he play both ways, safety and running back? They moved him to running back.
Yeah, he played safety and running back.
Yeah, Troy or Rutgers somewhere. Yeah, had a good preseason.
Yeah, he tried to play safety when he first got to Detroit, and they was like, playing safety over here. Yeah. Good special teamer for sure.
Absolutely. I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go 2,000-yard wide receivers. And the reason why I say that, it's today's pass-happy NFL. I think nowadays that the pass does open up the run for everybody. And I think if you've got Amon-Ra St. Brown, we think Jamison Williams on the outside is going to take that third-year lead. His first year was marred coming back from that ACL tear. his second-year gambling suspension. He still had Josh Reynolds. He was in a third type of wide receiver role. Josh Reynolds is gone, traded to Denver. Now, of course, you've got Jamison Williams stepping up at the number 2 behind Amon-Ra. So I think it's very possible that Detroit has 2,000-yard receivers. And if I think they all three work. I think they might have all three. I think if you got Amon-Ra going for 1,000, J-Mo busting defense's asses down the field going for 1,000, how do you stop Montgomery and Gibbs out of the backfield? They might have 12 or 1,300 yards, all-purpose yards apiece. So, but in today's pass-happy NFL, I like the 2,000-yard receivers.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. But I don't know. I think every team needs a good, solid running back that they can lean on and rely on. So, and
well, absolutely,
Detroit has several of them. So
they do. For fantasy purposes, I'm glad they have 2 of them too. For my fantasy purposes. So, but with that, X-Man,
half your team is Detroit Lions.
Hey, half of yours is the other half. So there's that. I'll see you in the chip, buddy. But man, great job. Like I said, man, I'm happy to be doing this with you. I'm excited. This endeavor kind of sprouted up. We figured, hey, we do this every week anyway. Why not get a couple of microphones and a camera? So I'm excited, man.
Absolutely, man.
Football's back. Don't forget, guys, this was our inaugural episode. I'm Eric Willard. That's my co-host, Xavier Peters. This is the Heartland Huddle, Chiefs, Lions, and NFL Talk. You can catch us on our YouTube channel for all of our content. You can type in at Heartland NFL Talk to view our content, as well as you can catch us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify as well. With that, man, let's see what happens. We'll be back this next week, brother.
Absolutely, man.
All right. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you. We're out.
Like, subscribe. We out.